The Dickson Warehouse was constructed in 1863 for John Dickson, who had established a thriving produce and homewares store in Market Street, Mudgee. The business sold all the goods and chattels necessary for farming communities in the Mudgee region: pots, pans, furniture, groceries, agricultural implements, seed and grain, chaff, hay and liquor. They also traded in gold with the local prospectors. The warehouse is a heritage building on the local Midwestern Regional Council register. The Dickson store unfortunately went bankrupt in the financial crash of the 1890s, and the premises was sold and leased for multiple activities until 1969 under the ownership of the Burchell family to become Firmass Tire Service, which in turn became Tire Power. When Steve Burchell retired, the warehouse was sold in September 2016 to David and Clarissa Mort and John and Helene Wood. A concept was prepared by John Wood, who's a local architect, to restore the building and convert it into 2 residences, one for each family. The first task was to clean up the site, removing a large palm tree adjacent to the Lewis Street frontage and a wild, overgrown fig tree on the southeast corner. There were many trips to the tip. The structural engineering inspection concluded that the building was sound, and there was one section of cracked brickwork probably caused by a doorway being cut through the half-metre-thick English bond brickwork adjacent to the huge palm tree growing around the slate stone foundations. DA approval was delayed until we had obtained possessory title to a strip of land on the south side of the building that was still in the name of the original owner. That process took a year. However, we were able to commence external repairs and maintenance. Construction work began in the rear half of the building, that's the Wood family half, with the removal of the stringy bark planked floor due to the rotting and damp substructure of ironbark joists. This allowed access to remove 155 years of dust and dirt that had fallen between the planked floor, which by now was up to half a metre thick, surrounding the joists. We found a variety of interesting artifacts that had fallen between the cracks: coins, cash book ledgers, wine and beer bottles, tools, machinery parts. Unfortunately, no gold. We also discovered a broad, shallow dish drain built with bricks. Where this dish drain penetrated the external walls, an archway distributed the wall load either side of the drain. Concrete pier footings were bored and poured, along with the lift shaft, cellar and fireplace footings. Adjustable steel piers were installed along with the new and recycled bearers and joists. One of the central ironbark posts had subsided 60 millimetres due to the rotting support planks, and this was jacked level and the footing restored. The service yard awning was removed and the structure was trucked to the Robert Steen Winery, where it was recycled to provide new cool room facilities. With the awning removed, we could complete the scaffolding around the building. As the external brickwork had been painted in the red, white and blue Tire Power livery, the task to remove the multiple layers of paint commenced. We trialled many paint removal systems: soda blasting, glass bead blasting, water blasting, chemical paint stripping and peel away. The handmade bricks were easily damaged and the lime mortar was easily eroded. The peel away system worked to a degree. However, under the acrylic paint layers was oil-based paint, and under those layers was calcimine. We found the calcimine was the most difficult material to remove. We finally found a Sydney-based contractor who had built a special truck-mounted machine that used low-pressure superheated steam and little to no chemical. This process didn't destroy the brick and mortar, and it removed all the paint layers, including the calcimine. The same process allowed removal of all the paint internally to the ironbark structure. The bricklayer was now able to reconstruct the street facade after the removal of the aluminium shop front and to finish the many repairs to window and door openings. To match the old lime mortar with the restored brickwork, we had to repoint the western wall and part of the north wall. By this time, Council had approved our DA and we commenced the internal fit-out. We fabricated the steel lift shaft frame on site and craned it through the roof. First floor joists were removed to accommodate a new staircase for this half of the building. The internal stud walls were constructed along with the Hebel separation firewall between the two dwellings. The original stringy bark floor planks were 150 mm wide sawn finish and varied in thickness from 30 to 35 mils. They were de-nailed. Removing the handmade blacksmith's nails proved time-consuming as they had to be punched out. The planks were thicknessed and secret-nailed over a sheet subfloor. The day finally arrived and we removed the scaffolding. After 18 months, we could reveal the restored brickwork. Double-glazed windows and doors were installed to match the original design. The street facade timber doors and hinge-out landing platform were fitted as per the 1863 design. As the interior fit-out proceeded, we commissioned Namoy Valley Brickworks in Gunnedah to manufacture the paving bricks to the design which the Mudgee Brickworks used to supply, the pattern still seen in many Mudgee historic buildings today. The entry porch tiles were second-hand from the Campbell Tile Company in Stoke-upon-Trent. John and Helene had saved the tiles from a Sydney property 40 years earlier. The pergola that fronts the northern elevation was constructed of ironbark sourced from John and Helene's Mudgee region rural property. The garage and tool shed was planked with the old stringy bark flooring. The ground floor interiors feature colonial cedar doors, timber-panelled ceilings. The sandstone fireplace with its slow combustion firebox will heat the whole building, although auxiliary heating is provided by electric panel heaters from the 14.5 kilowatt solar rooftop power source. The kitchen table was constructed from the recovered ironbark floor joists. Carrara marble was used in the kitchen and bathrooms. The first floor atrium opens onto a recessed balcony with the ironbark roof frame exposed and lit with south-facing skylights. There are 4 bedrooms and 3.5 bathrooms plus an office study. The project was completed on the 31st of October 2019 and the event was then celebrated the following day with friends and family. The day was the 50th wedding anniversary of the owners John and Helene Wood. The builder was Bill Deek, Proprietary Limited of Mudgee. The majority of labour and materials was sourced locally. The interiors of the Mort residence, that's the western half fronting Lewis Street, are yet to be constructed. The project was designed and supervised by John Wood of Planned Environment Proprietary Limited, architects of Mudgee.